Good afternoon. It's Tuesday, so as per usual, it means you're going to have a quiz very soon here. But as we always do, we're going to do a little refresher just to remember the things that we talked about last week. So last week, the most important part was the introduction to parabolas. Right? We did talk about lines briefly, but the big thing was kind of reintroducing and talking about different parts of a parabola. So first, we're just going to review the terminology to get that fresh in your head. So let's start with the word vertex. Okay, so I'm going to say, maybe I'll call on somebody here. So Lorenzo, where would you find the vertex? Yeah, that's right. It's that point where it turns around. So the vertex is this thing right here. Maybe I should do that differently. Okay, just mark it with a V or something. Or a symbol. Okay, so yeah, the vertex is this point down here, right? So it's that point where it turns around, highest or lowest point on the graph. Okay, next term. The axis of symmetry. Maybe Thomas, where would I find the axis of symmetry? Okay, that's right. It's a line, okay, that splits the parabola in half. Okay, and again, I would reference it by its location. So for this one, it crosses the x-axis at -1. So I would say my axis of symmetry is x equals -1. Okay. Third thing on the list. Okay, the optimal value. So let's see, Liam, where's the optimal value? Right. Okay, it's where your highest or lowest you can go is. Okay, so in this case it would be -5. Okay, the optimal value is -5. Okay, a couple of things left. Zeros. Maybe let's bug Drew. Where would you find the zeros? Okay, right. It's where it crosses the x-axis. So that's here and here. Those would be my two zeros. Okay, and again, here they're not exact. It's like I got a little bit more -2 and a little bit more than 0. Okay, but that's where it crosses the x-axis. Okay, next one is the step pattern. Okay, so what is the step pattern? Jason, what's the step pattern? Okay, yeah, it's a rule that helps you kind of graph, right? So it's every time I go over 1, right, how much do I go up? When I go over 1, how much do I go up? Okay, so it's a rule, well, kind of like slope, that helps us make the graph. Okay, and last but not least, the y-intercept. So let's see. Vita, where would the y-intercept be? Yep, right down here, right? It's where it crosses the y-axis. Okay, so the zeros are the x-axis, the y-intercept is on the y-axis. Awesome, thank you. Okay, so that's the terminology. Okay, the two main skills then, okay, is we learn what all the different pieces of this equation mean. Again, this is called the vertex form of a parabola. Okay, so if I were to graph this equation, y equals -2x, -2, x minus 6 squared plus 4, okay, I can pull information out of this and use it to make the graph. Okay, so the two most important things, okay, are the vertex. Okay, so we'll start with that. Tyler, what is the vertex of this parabola? Okay, I'm glad you got yourself there. But yeah, right, it's the opposite of what you think here. So it's 6 here. Okay, and it's the same for this one. So it's 6 and 4. So if I was trying to graph this, that's where I would start. I would go over 6. and up 4. Okay, and this is where my vertex will be. Okay, so again, these two numbers here give us the vertex. Okay, this other number, right, the one out front, okay, our leading coefficient, that tells us some different information. So first, okay, because this is negative, right, I know this is going to open which way? Okay, right, that's going to be down, right? If it's negative, it's down. If it's positive, it's up. Okay, and what the 2 does is it gives me information about the step pattern. So you might recall from last week that the basic step pattern is always what? Okay, and hopefully that's automatic by now. It should be 1 and 3 and 5. Okay, but I have a number in front of it, so I take it and I multiply it by that number. Okay, so I multiply it by -2, and that gives me my new step pattern. So 1 times -2 is -2. Okay, 3 times -2 is -6, and 5 times -2 is -10. So to get my new points, right, I start with my vertex and say I go over 1, and then my step is -2. So I go down 2. Okay, I go over 1, my next step is -6. Go down 6. Okay, I go over 1, my next step is -10. Okay, that's off my grid, it's down here somewhere, roughly. Okay, and I do the same on the other side. Okay, down 2, down 6, okay, and down 10. Okay, and that gives me my points, and then I can draw my parabola in. Okay, and I'm going to apologize in advance because trying to draw a parabola with my mouse, yeah, see, that didn't go so well. It's got a bit of a kink in it there. Okay, you'll do a much better job when you draw yours in a few minutes here. Okay, so right, graphing, that was one of the main things we did last week. Okay, and then the other thing is reversing that. Okay, which we did kind of refresh and expand upon yesterday. So going the other way, right, if I have a graph, what's going to be my equation? Okay, but it comes down to the same thing. Okay, first key piece of information is the vertex. Okay, so I'm going to go down here, right, there's my lowest point. Okay, my vertex. So let's write down what that is. Okay, the coordinates are -1, -5. So -1 and -5. Okay, now I need to look at my step pattern. So let's find the next point. So when I go over 1, it looks like I've gone up 3, right? Over 1, up 3. Okay, for my next point, when I go over 1, I'm going to go up 3, 6. Looks like I'm going up 9. Okay, and the next one is off the page. So my step pattern starts 3, and then 9, and then so on. Okay, so that's enough information around my equation, right? So my equation is going to be y equals, okay, the first number in my step is 3. Okay, right, it's 1 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9, so it works. Okay, and then filling this in, I have x. Remember, in the brackets, it does the opposite of what you think. I had -1, so it's going to be +1. Okay, and then for the -5 on the outside, that's that. And of course, don't forget the squared. Okay, so that is your refresher of all the different skills, right? The terminology, creating the graph, and then looking at a graph and making the equation. And that's basically what your quiz is going to be about. Okay, so at this point, you should probably pack up your stuff, okay, right, except obviously for a pencil. You shouldn't even need a calculator. There's no calculations involved here at all. It's just interpreting the information. Okay, good luck on your quiz, and I will either see you later this period, or if not, I will see you tomorrow.